So in today's show, Joe Rogan snaps back at Kamala Harris after he claims that she lied about her willingness to go onto his podcast and discuss the good herb. And Target starts selling THC drinks as Big Pharma suffers a massive blow. And just 2 years after legalization over in Maryland, they're already facing huge problems. All that and more in today's show, but let's start off right here because this between Kamala Harris and Joe Rogan is pretty crazy.
Joe Rogan was heavily mentioned throughout a new book detailing the Kamala Harris presidential campaign that made some insane claims about Rogan refusing to have Harris on the podcast. With her campaign chief writing, quote, "Harris flew to the state under the auspice of fighting for reproductive rights, though only a few people knew the real reason. The whole Houston rally was built to put her in proximity to Rogan."
There was another thing they said that the reason why they did the Beyonce thing, the Beyonce event in Houston, was so that they could be in Texas to do my show. They never agreed to do the show. None of that's true. They never agreed.
That's fucked.
They also said that they sent someone down here to the studio to do a walkthrough of the set. That's not true. These people didn't have a date to do. They never agreed to do the show. This is really important. Even after Trump went on, they offered for me to come to DC and do a show with Kamala. But even then, it was the same deal. It was only like 45 minutes to an hour, not on my set. And I said that, look, he did it here. We should probably do it here. Obviously, when he did it, it had an enormous result. I'm willing to do the same thing for her. I wanted to release both of them on the same day. This was my goal. And I even offered to do it late that night. So the night that Trump came on, I'm like, what if we do her, like when she's done in Texas, if she came here? But no one ever committed to doing it. This is like really important because they keep pretending that I lied or I did this or I did that. They never committed to doing it. We have all the receipts, by the way.
Of course.
I have a whole list of conversations that took place. So this whole idea that we f***ed her over for Trump, incorrect. Just not true. Also, it's got to be the actual real show. It shouldn't be some fake version of it where I'm sitting in a conference room. Also, they wanted a stenographer in the room. They wanted staff in the room. Trump was just in here by himself.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. So we got some big news, especially when it comes to this particular issue. And as you guys would recall, during the election campaign, it was crazy the amount of podcasts that President Trump was going on. And a lot of folks actually told Kamala Harris to go on to Joe Rogan's podcast and have a talk with him, have a chat with him, and see what he has to say so people can get to know how she is as a person, have a feel of her as a person. But unfortunately, it never materialized. And when Kamala Harris eventually released her new book, in that book, she took a lot of shots at Joe Rogan and discussed a lot of reasons as to why the podcast never materialized. And now Joe Rogan is actually pushing back on some of those claims. And according to this, and I quote, in her book 107 Days, the title of which is a reference to the limited time she had to campaign for the presidency after former President Joe Biden bowed out of the race, Harris discussed the controversy over plans to join Rogan on his podcast. It goes on to say that shortly after President Trump won the election, Joe Rogan alleged that Harris did not want to talk about legalization when she was invited onto the show. Rogan, who ultimately endorsed Trump shortly before the election, said that he thought the alleged refusal to discuss the good herb was hilarious. But Harris said in her book that was not the case, and that prompted pushback from Joe Rogan in his episode of the Joe Rogan Experience podcast that was released on Wednesday. Have a look at the clip.
That's the excuse they took.
They want to do
That's
it.
like, okay, they took that excuse.
They never
because
wanted to do the whole thing.
Never.
They wanted to do like a 45-minute thing in a different place. They didn't say scripted, but they did say that there's some things that she didn't want to talk about. And then they denied that.
Yeah. That's what I meant by scripted. Yeah.
I said I don't care. I'll talk to you about cooking. I don't give a fuck. I just want to know, who are you? I'll figure you out.
Yeah.
I'll figure you out in a few hours.
Yeah, in 3 hours, you can't fake your way through a conversation like this.
No, I'll find you.
Yeah.
I'll find you.
Yeah.
I'll ask you controversial things. Like, it's all I have to do is ask you, why is the border open? We could talk about that for 3 hours.
Oh my gosh.
What are you trying to do?
Right.
Like, you could close that border. Trump closed that border in a day.
Amazing.
In a day. Okay, what is an available option is this one administration over 4 years is encouraging people to go through.
Yeah.
Not only are they encouraging you to go through, there's Red Cross stops along the way. They give you maps. They tell you how to do it. They're funding people getting in. They're paying for air flights.
Yeah.
They're flying people in. They're moving people into swing states.
So it's pretty interesting seeing the back and forth between Joe Rogan and Kamala Harris, but it didn't stop there because he had some more to say. Check it out.
One of the things they said that weren't true was that we lied about the day that Trump was coming on. No, we just didn't tell you that Trump was coming on. He was already booked a long time ago. This is how it worked. Trump was really easy to book, like super easy. We offered one day. He said yes. That was it. They never committed to doing the show. So all this talk, there was another thing they said that the reason why they did the Beyonce thing, the Beyonce event in Houston, was so that they could be in Texas to do my show. They never agreed to do the show. They also said that they sent someone down here to the studio to do a walkthrough of the set. That's not true. Even after Trump went on, they offered for me to come to DC and do a show with Kamala. But even then, it was the same deal. It was only like 45 minutes to an hour. And, you know, it was not on my set. I wanted to release both of them on the same day. This was my goal. I was even trying to figure out if there was a way that I could do it. And I even offered to do it late that night. So the night that Trump came on, I'm like, what if we do her, like when she's done in Texas, if she came here? But no one ever committed to doing it.
So it's really interesting seeing the back and forth between those two, and we'll definitely keep you guys updated. Now, we have a few more things to show you guys. In particular, Target, they're selling some THC-infused beverages, which is crazy. But also, Maryland, their industry is almost under the brink of collapse. So we're going to show you guys those two things. But before we do, just a quick reminder, if you're getting value from this video, please do like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And if you want to support us further, join the ICANN VIP Bean Club or just buy us a cup of coffee. And if you happen to be a home gardener, try the ICANN Organics, use the code LEGAL. It works on the bundle and the beans.
Target launches THC drink trial at 10 Minnesota stores. Target has entered the hemp-derived THC beverage market through a limited pilot program in Minnesota. The test run, confirmed by several participating beverage producers, includes at least a dozen brands offering drinks with up to 5 milligrams of THC per serving. The rollout spans 10 Target stores in the state, where the products are sold exclusively at liquor outlets with separate entrances for customers aged 21 and above.
So that's pretty interesting, guys. Soon your local Target may be also selling THC drinks, but for now, it's just a pilot program over in Minnesota. And according to this article, it's a soft launch and it's only one of the latest examples of the normalization of the good herb in mainstream commercial marketing. Target's move in Minnesota, where the company is headquartered, reportedly involves putting a dozen THC drink brands on shelves in 10 select stores in the state. And for those who may be wondering why the rollout started in Minnesota, it's because Target's headquartered over there, but also over in Minnesota, THC drinks are hitting an all-time high when it comes to sales. Have a look.
THC beverages are a booming business in Minnesota. 6 months after the new cannabis law cleared the way for liquor stores to sell low-dose hemp-derived edibles, January is now giving them a new boost. Fox 9's Corin Hoggard live in Minneapolis for us with this dry January momentum. Corin?
Amy, THC drinks started arriving at regular retailers back in June, and this month, for the first time, one of them cracked the top 10 bestsellers at Top 10 Liquors, and that's a spot usually reserved for national brands like Miller Lite or Captain Morgan's.
The first month of the year often brings a lull to liquor stores as dry January slows sales.
The consumption during the holidays, people generally dial it back. Not the case in this category.
THC beverages are soaring off the shelves at stores around the state, leaving their beer brethren green with envy. Top 10 Liquors introduced them in June and captured curious customers.
We have a lot of people who, particularly older customers, who come in and ask about, something that might help them sleep, something that might help with an ache or a pain. And then, of course, we have people asking, just what might help me relax.
Since October, 3,200 businesses have registered with the state to sell low-potency hemp products. Minnesota makers had a head start, but national brands are also allowed now. So even Cheech and Chong are smoking out some space at Total Wine.
Minnesota is the hottest spot right now, so you got every competitor in the country, that you're fighting with for that shelf space.
So what's clear is that these THC beverages are popular. The sales are booming over in Minnesota, and that's why a lot of folks in the alcohol industry are actually scared. They're pretty concerned because these sales are eating into their bottom line. And in that situation, what do? They join in. They join some of those THC beverages and create their own seltzers. And that's all because THC beverages are gaining ground over alcohol.
Relaxation rituals for many of us involve filling our cup, but increasingly, it's not alcohol that's going into it.
The red has been compared to a Beaujolais.
It pours and looks like wine, adult seltzer, or a high-end spirit. And these non-alcoholic drinks are creating a whole new buzz. These are all hemp-derived THC beverages.
We have a version of a Sex on the Beach.
New to the adult beverage aisle, they've quickly become the fastest growing segment within it.
It's been significant growth in the 2 years that we've seen. And, you know, if you're here in Susan, we have a center aisle of a product, you know that it's a bestseller.
Is America's love affair with alcohol cooling? Alcohol consumption is tanking. A recent Gallup poll finding only 54% of people say they drink alcohol. 41% of Americans say they're trying to drink less. And alcohol is linked to 7 fatal cancers, including breast, colon, mouth, and liver.
Wow.
So what are we pouring instead? THC drinks. Brooke Leonard of Stu Leonard's Grocery and Wine Store says they now sell equal amounts of beer and weed drinks. Indeed, beer sales are the lowest they've been in decades.
So it's absolutely clear from that clip that the alcohol industry is in decline. A lot more folks are trying to drink less, but also folks are using the good herb as an alternative to some of these alcoholic beverages. It's just what's happening. It's just the truth. There are numerous studies that confirm that younger generations, such as Gen Z, are drinking a whole lot less. And if that means that more people are accepting of the good herb, then that's a win for me. Now, that being said, despite the fact that Minnesota's THC beverage market is booming, we're seeing a complete 360 over in Maryland because their budding weed industry actually faces a complete flatline amid loopholes, competition, and taxation. It's not good.
Maryland data shows that in the first year that recreational weed use and sales were legalized, in July 2023, adult use sales jumped more than 36% compared to July 2024 numbers. This growth rate fell to 11% in July 2025. When looking at the entire Maryland marijuana industry, weed sales for all products, including medical cannabis, increased by more than 9% in August 2024 compared to 2023. Since the initial legalization peak, the industry in Maryland has flatlined to only a 0.64% growth rate. Do you worry about the resurgence of the illegal street dealer and them being, frankly, a competitor to you?
So my job is to supply the marketplace, mine and all the other growers is, we want to create a safe, affordable product that people want to buy, because I don't think the average person wants to go into a back street and do an illegal dealer. They'd rather walk into a well-lit, secure location where they can have choices and they can smell and read the test results. But if it's double the cost, then they probably are going to choose the more economic ways.
And that right there is no surprise, guys. That's something we've been seeing across multiple states. Overtaxation, overregulation, too much red tape. It's just causing a lot of folks to say, okay, I'm not actually going to hit the dispo anymore. It's just too expensive. I'm going to have to call up my homies or hit up a home grower. But let me know what you guys think about all this in the comments down below. What do you guys think about Joe Rogan and Kamala Harris sort of going at it? What do you guys think about Target finally selling some of these THC beverages? And what do you guys think about Maryland? Do you guys think their industry is in decline or not? Drop it in the comments and let me know. And in our next video, as we enter yet another day of the government shutdown, there's a lot of things that are being shaken up in the cannabis industry. So if you haven't seen that video, check it out. It's coming up right now.